Welcome, weary traveller of thoughts. As the quiet deepens around you and your eyes grow heavy, allow us to step gently back in time, not by decades or centuries, but by 10 long millennia, into a world before cities, before written words, before even the wheel. The year is not measured as we know it. There are no dates to mark it, no history books to chart it, and yet life pulses across the earth with a quiet intensity. Let us drift down into this distant age, around 8000 BCE, at the close of the last ice age, when glaciers were retreating and the earth was reshaping itself slowly and softly, one season at a time. The air is cooler than today, but warming. Forests are spreading across land once locked in snow. Wild animals roam in great herds, aurochs and antelope, woolly rhinos still lingering in the coldest reaches, and mammoths fading slowly into memory. And among them move humans, not many, just small bands scattered across vast distances, perhaps only a few million on the entire planet. They do not live in houses as we understand them. Instead, their shelters are made from animal hides stretched over wood, or they sleep in caves hollowed into limestone cliffs, soot blackened from fires that have burned year after year. Their world is shaped by the rhythms of the sun, the behavior of animals, the patterns of migration, and the slow cycles of planting and gathering. In fertile valleys, something is changing. People are beginning to settle for longer periods in one place. They plant wild barley and einkorn wheat, their fingers pushing seeds into the soft earth beside the rivers. The shift is quiet but profound. They still hunt and gather, wild berries, roots, nuts, fish from the stream. But now they also tend small gardens, returning season after season, learning which plants thrive and how to save seeds. In a clearing near a river, a group gathers at dawn. A fire smoulders low, and smoke curls into the air with the scent of wood and ash. A child stirs from a bed of woven grasses, and a woman kneels beside a clay pot filled with millet porridge, stirring slowly with a stick smoothed by years of use. The men prepare spears and netting, their bodies lean and scarred from the hunt. A dog, already domesticated from wolves, stretches beside the fire, yawning, its eyes half-lidded. Not far from them, in another part of the world, others live differently. In the forests of what is now Europe, people move through trees with quiet expertise, tracking deer and boar, gathering mushrooms and herbs. They know the call of birds, the growth of moss on stones, the direction of the wind. They speak in languages we will never know, words carried from parent to child around campfires and carved into wood or bone as symbols whose meanings have long since faded. In the east, near the Zagros Mountains, goats are being herded. Their milk is sour and strong, but nourishing. They are among the first animals to be shaped by human hands, their wildness tamed slowly by need and patience. The people here build stone walls and grind grain on flat slabs, their knees calloused from years of kneeling, their voices low as they sing work songs passed from mother to daughter. Far to the south, in the cradle of Africa, communities flourish where water is abundant. They fish with bone hooks, weave baskets, make beads from shells that shine in the sun. They dance in celebration, mark time with rhythms tapped on hollow logs, and carry children on their backs, shaded by palm leaves and warm breezes. Across the vast plains of the Americas, people follow bison herds, their tents easy to move, their lives guided by the movement of animals and the changing of the skies. In the north, near where glaciers still linger, groups huddle in fur-lined shelters, warming stones by the fire, sewing with needles made from bone. There is no sense of the future as we know it. There is only the now, the rising of the sun, the promise of food, the need for shelter, the turning of the seasons. These people do not think of themselves as ancient. They are not relics. They are the present, living lives full of love and labour, story and song. As the night deepens, imagine lying beside one of those ancient fires, listening to wind in the trees and the soft breathing of those around you. The world is vast, quiet, and slow. There is no rush, only the endless rhythm of survival, of family, of gentle change. And as you close your eyes, you rest not just for yourself, but with the memory of those who came long before you, whose whispers still echo in the hush of the earth. The day begins not with alarms or clocks, but with the rising light of dawn slipping through the trees, with the chirp of birds shaking dew from their wings, and the low murmur of people stirring beneath animal skin shelters, or within huts of packed mud and timber. In this world, time is marked by shadow and scent, by the length of a morning's warmth and the direction of the wind. You wake on a bed of dried grasses, wrapped in furs, softened by use, and stretch your limbs beneath the open sky. The fire is down to coals, but it is quickly fed again by careful hands, smoke winding skyward, slow and grey. Beside you, someone crushes seeds between two stones, their hands stained by husks and grit, while another peels bark to weave into baskets. There is no rush. The world turns slowly here. The morning is spent in soft work, repairing a thatched roof where the rains have worn a hole, checking traps set near the marsh, gently turning the soil near the sprouting edge of a small field where wild cereals have begun to grow in neat, human-planted rows. It is not yet farming as we know it, but it is a beginning, and it carries the weight of promise. The air smells of earth and ash, of crushed herbs and warm bodies. A child runs laughing through tall grass, trailing a stick behind him. He is chasing nothing in particular, just the joy of movement. Across the valley, someone begins to sing, their voice rising and falling with a melody older than language, a tune learned from a mother or a friend, hummed without thought but remembered always. Farther afield, the hunters move with deliberate care. Their feet step silently across damp ground, their eyes trained on the distance. One carries a bow, its string waxed with fat and sinew, while another holds a bundle of spears tipped with chipped obsidian, still glinting with sharpness. They pause at the edge of a clearing, watching deer graze. There is no waste in their work, no sport in the hunt, only necessity and reverence. Back in the settlement, the women tend the fire, feeding it dried moss and splinters, stirring a pot of roots and tubers boiled soft. The children gather nuts beneath a tree, their laughter punctuating the hum of bees and the chirping of insects. Tools are repaired with quiet focus, stone edges resharpened, cordage retied. A mother shows her daughter how to use a flint flake to shave bark from a branch, her fingers guiding the child slowly, patiently. Learning is everywhere, unspoken but constant. Near the water, someone washes hide stretched across a frame, scraping it clean with a rib bone, the rhythm slow and smooth. The stream nearby gurgles over rocks, its water cold and sweet, full of fish darting in silver flashes. Small clay bowls dry in the sun, their surfaces etched with markings that may be decoration, or symbols, or perhaps just memory pressed into form. The pace of life is not hurried. There is no schedule beyond the weather, no deadline but the season. Clouds gather in the distance, and voices rise to call in the foragers, the children, the elders. Rain is coming. A shelter is reinforced, furs pulled over the opening, firewood stacked beneath an overhang. The scent of rain drifts in on the breeze, mixing with smoke and the sharp green of crushed leaves. And then the rain begins, soft at first, then steady, drumming gently on rooftops, tapping on skin, rolling down blades of grass. Inside, people gather close. The fire crackles louder against the patter of rain. Someone tells a story, not in the way of written books, but through gesture and rhythm, through repetition and breath. It is a tale of animals and ancestors, of stars and stones, of how the land came to be shaped and how the people came to belong to it. The listeners sit quietly, the rain their backdrop, their eyes wide in the firelight. The story finishes and there is a moment of silence, not for effect, but because silence is familiar here, comfortable, filled with meaning. As the night deepens and the rain continues, people begin to settle for sleep, curling together beneath skins and woven cloth, their bellies full and their hearts soothed by rhythm and warmth. The fire dims slowly, and with it, the day ends. There are no clocks to strike the hour, only the steady hush of rain and the quiet breathing of those who survived another day beneath the changing sky. The morning after rain carries a fresh stillness, a softened hush where water glistens on every leaf and stone. A mist lingers low across the ground, curling gently around trunks and ankles as the earth breathes in slow rhythm. You rise to the scent of damp ash and wet thatch, your sleeping place warm from shared bodies, the air cool on your cheeks as you sit up and stretch. All around, the world drips quietly, trees shedding droplets in lazy cascades, puddles catching the reflection of a sky turning slowly from grey to pale gold. The fire is coaxed back to life with practiced ease, smoke rising through the softened air, and someone hums as they feed it slivers of bark and twigs collected before the storm. You carry your bowl to the stream, its water running fast and cold with the weight of last night's rainfall, and rinse it slowly, watching the current carry away little bits of grain and ash, like thoughts drifting out of reach. Today, the air smells of new growth and wet soil, of mushrooms uncurling from logs and petals beginning to reopen. The animals move more slowly after the storm, and so do the people. No great hunt is planned, no distant journey. Instead, the day is for tending, the quiet care of tools, the patching of worn sandals, the gentle checking of traps set days before. You walk through the underbrush, brushing wet leaves from your arms, eyes scanning the ground for the telltale signs of passage. A hoof print softened by mud, a bent blade of grass, a scatter of feathers. You find a small rabbit caught in a snare, already still, its fur damp with dew. You whisper thanks as you gather it, wrapping it gently in cloth and beginning the slow walk back. Nearby, someone is shaping stone, the rhythmic tap-tap of hammer against flint echoing through the trees. They sit cross-legged, brow furrowed in concentration, turning a chunk of raw rock into a blade with patient, precise strikes. Each chip carries the memory of movement, each edge formed by hands that have done this 1,000 times. You sit beside them, offering a berry, watching as the tool takes shape. It will be used to skin, to carve, to build, to preserve. Tools are not merely objects here. They are extensions of memory and motion. Back in the settlement, others work in similar quiet industry. A woman scrapes bark to make thread, pulling it into long fibers that will be twisted into cordage. A child beside her mimics the movement, hands clumsy but eager. There is no formal schooling here, no lecture or lesson, only the slow transfer of knowledge from hands to hands, eyes to eyes, breath to breath. You help with the cooking, placing smooth stones in the fire until they are hot enough to drop into a hide-lined pit of water, where roots and herbs have been soaking. The water hisses and bubbles as the stones sizzle, cooking the stew in a low, steady boil. You stir it with a carved branch, the broth dark and fragrant, filled with green shoots and softened tubers. By midday, the mist has lifted and the sun begins to warm the earth again. You sit in a circle with others, sharing the meal from a communal bowl, passing it slowly, dipping your pieces of bark bread into the broth. You eat in silence, not because words are forbidden, but because the act of eating together is its own language, its own song. The afternoon passes in slow waves of sound and motion, someone braiding a net for fishing, someone singing softly to a restless child, someone shaping clay with water and fingers into bowls that will dry in the sun. The world turns gently. The wind shifts and brings the scent of distant blossoms, the promise of new growth. You gather dried reeds to repair a roof, tying them in bundles, working with another to lay them flat, overlapping just so. The structure is simple, but it shelters you. It holds warmth. It holds memory. As evening descends, the light fades from gold to lavender, and the sky opens to stars again, soft pinpricks above the trees. The fire crackles, and you gather around it, your legs folded beneath you, your shoulders brushing those beside you. The storyteller begins not with a grand flourish, but with a simple breath. She speaks of animals and ancestors, of how fire came to be, of why the owl calls at dusk. The children listen with wide eyes. The elders nod, already knowing, but still grateful. You feel your own breath slow, your muscles ease, your thoughts dissolve into the hush. And as the flames settle into quiet embers, you lie back once more, the ground solid beneath you, the stars vast above, and sleep folds over you like a blanket woven of stories, of soil, and of time. The days flow together gently, like water slipping between stones, each one shaped by weather and need, but rarely by haste. You rise again beneath a soft grey sky, your breath visible in the morning air. The world quiet save for the distant calls of birds echoing through the trees. The ground is firm beneath your blanket, the soil still damp from last week's rain, and as you sit up, stretching the sleep from your shoulders, the light is just beginning to filter through the canopy, casting long blue shadows across the clearing. The fire is already smoking, coaxed back to life by early risers, whose silhouettes move steadily in the low light. You walk barefoot across the packed earth, your feet hardened by seasons of this life, and accept a warm stone to hold as your hands wake. Someone is boiling roots in a shallow pit, the broth thick and fragrant, and beside them, another grinds seeds into coarse flour, the stone worn smooth by years of steady use. There is no rush. The day is here, and that is enough. After eating, you join a group walking to the river, a woven basket slung across your back, your fingers brushing tall grass and the edges of leaves as you pass. The path is familiar, trodden into the earth by generations of quiet feet. You reach the bank and begin gathering, berries plucked one by one, mushrooms checked carefully, leaves bundled for drying. The sun lifts higher, its warmth building slowly on your skin. Bees humming around flowering stalks, their rhythm matching your own. A pair of ducks splash near the bend in the river, and you pause to watch them glide, their motion effortless, their presence part of the morning's pattern. Farther down the bank, someone catches a fish with a bone hook and line, the splash small but satisfying. The fish is clean there at the water's edge, its scales shimmering like wet stone, and you help wrap it in leaves to bring back for the evening fire. On the walk home, the group hums softly, an old tune with no words, only sound, passed down from voice to voice until it is simply part of the air. Back at the settlement, you help an elder apply tree resin to cracks in a cooking pot, the sticky sap warming between your palms as you press it into place. She tells you how the tree must be thanked before it is cut, how the resin will hold through fire and time. You nod, absorbing her rhythm as much as her words. Nearby, children chase one another between the shelters, their laughter weaving through the quiet work. They mimic the hunters, holding sticks like spears, crawling low through the underbrush, their faces painted with mud. No one stops them. Play is practice, and the world teaches in its own way. In the afternoon, you help smoke fish over a low fire, watching the wood curl and blacken as the scent rises. The smoke keeps the insects away and dries the flesh slowly, making it last beyond the day, beyond the week. You turn the bundles gently, eyes half closed against the heat. In the distance, drums begin to beat, slow, measured, steady. A ritual is beginning. You rise and follow the sound, joining others beneath the largest tree in the clearing. There, a circle forms. Dancers step forward, their feet bare, their bodies marked with ash and colour. The beat continues, slow and steady, like the pulse of the earth. The dancers move in time, their steps tracing patterns old as memory, arms lifted, heads tilted skyward. Around the edge of the circle, watchers sway, hands joining hands, mouths singing low in harmony. You join them, feeling the thrum in your chest, the warmth in your limbs, the deep calm that rises when many hearts move together. The sun dips low as the dance continues, its final light slanting through the trees, casting the circle in gold and shadow. When the drums stop, the silence is full and round. You walk back to camp slowly, the fire already glowing, the fish laid out on hot stones, the evening meal nearly ready. You eat quietly, surrounded by friends and family, each bite grounding you in the day just lived. As the stars return and the night air cools, you lie down once more, your body warm, your heart steady. The fire crackles, the wind moves gently through the trees, and sleep comes easily, without need or question, part of the same ancient rhythm that turns the stars and shapes the path of rivers. You awaken to the soft scrape of a stone against another, the rhythmic sharpening of a tool in practiced hands, the sound carrying across the camp like a steady breath. The fire is already lit, its orange light flickering against the woven walls of a nearby shelter, smoke curling upward into a sky slowly shifting from indigo to grey. You pull your fur covering tighter around your shoulders, exhaling softly as your body warms into motion. There is a dampness in the air, a hint of dew on the grass, and the scent of wood dark with moisture. A light fog rests just above the ground, clinging to the trunks of trees like memory. You rise, brush the sleep from your face with cold water from a bowl, and join the morning flow. A few voices murmur low, greeting the day in tones too soft to disturb the stillness. A pot steams gently over the fire, filled with crushed root and sliced greens, the aroma sharp and earthy. You chew a piece of bark to clean your teeth, then accept a warm stone to hold in your palms as you sit beside the fire. The warmth seeps into your fingers, waking them slowly. Plans for the day pass between those nearby in simple gestures and glances. Nothing rushed, nothing forced. You are to help with gathering reeds by the water, for roof repairs and basket weaving. Others head toward the cliffs to collect stone. while a small group departs with spears and nets in search of fresh meat. The roles shift over time, but always with quiet purpose. You move through the mist toward the river, your feet bare against the soft earth, each step silent, each breath even. The reeds glisten with dew, long stalks brushing your arms as you reach and pull, gently but firmly, careful not to damage the roots that will grow again. You cut them with a blade of flint tied into a handle of bone and wood, the edge sharp from hours of careful napping. The bundles grow slowly, each bound with a strip of sinew laid carefully across your back. The sun rises, burning through the mist, warming your neck and shoulders. You pause to drink from a pool near the river's bend, the water cool and clear, and sit beneath a tree to rest, watching fish flicker near the surface and dragonflies hover above still patches. Time drifts, untethered. When you return, the camp is humming gently with life. 2 children sit cross-legged, twisting reeds into rope with fingers both clumsy and eager. An elder mends a hole in a fur cloak with sinew and a curved needle carved from bone. Smoke rises from cooking fires, scented with herbs and charred skin. You spend part of the afternoon reshaping a clay bowl that cracked while drying, smoothing its sides, adding coiled layers, pressing thumb marks gently into its rim. The bowl is simple but necessary, and its creation is as much about the feel of earth in your hands as it is about the function it will serve. You watch the shadows shift around you as the day lengthens. In the distance, a hunter returns with a bird slung across his shoulders, feathers ruffled but bright, the catch greeted with nods and quiet approval. There is no celebration, only acknowledgement, a moment of thanks, a shared sense of provision. As the sun slips lower, the air cools again. You carry your finished bundle of reeds to a shelter whose roof has begun to sag, and with another, you begin replacing the weather-worn thatch, sliding the new stalks into place, weaving them between the frame of bent wood. Your hands move with ease, the rhythm of the task requiring no thought, only presence. By dusk, the work is done, and supper is served. Roasted bird, boiled greens, small flat cakes made from dried grain and water. You eat sitting near the fire, listening to a story about a great animal that once lived where the mountains now rise, its footsteps so heavy they became the valleys. The tale is half myth, half memory, carried from voice to voice across generations. The stars emerge slowly, first a few, then 1,000, then more. You lie back on a bed of furs, your legs stretched long, your arms tucked beneath your head, and watch them blink above you, calm and patient. The fire dims, the camp quiets, and you feel yourself slipping into sleep as easily as breath, your body weightless, your mind still. The earth holds you, the sky watches, and another day, quiet and whole, passes into the gentle folds of memory. You wake to the scent of smoke mingled with damp earth, the air inside your shelter cool and still, your breath forming pale clouds in the half-light of morning. The fire has burned low, and its warmth lingers only faintly in the stones around it. Outside, the first light has returned, painting the horizon in soft shades of gold and slate. You shift beneath your covering, bones stiff but not sore, and slowly rise, your hands brushing against the woven mat beneath you. A few others have begun to stir as well, their footsteps muffled against the soil, voices barely above whispers, the sounds of waking carried with a gentleness that fits the pace of the world. A pot is lifted over the coals, filled with yesterday's broth and a handful of new herbs gathered before dawn. their scent sharp and green as the heat brings them to life. You step outside, letting the cool air touch your skin, your eyes adjusting to the brightness. The trees sway quietly overhead, their leaves rustling in a voice too old to name, and the ground is soft from the dew, its scent rich with the memory of rain. A dog trots past you, alert but unhurried, its ears flicking at the sound of a bird calling from high above. You walk toward the gathering area, where someone has laid out stones and reeds for tool making, and take your place without needing instruction. The work continues where it left off yesterday. Stone is shaped into edges, rope twisted from long grass, and bark stripped from logs for binding and repair. Your hands know what to do, each motion slow and steady, like breath. You speak little, pausing only to watch a bird land near the fire or to sip from a wooden cup filled with warm broth. There is no rush, no pressing schedule, only the quiet unfolding of tasks that fill the day. Around midday, a group returns from the forest with bundles of kindling and a small deer slung between them. Its body is still, its eyes closed, and the group moves with care and purpose. The animal is brought to the edge of the stream, where it is cleaned and prepared beneath a canopy of branches. No part will be wasted. The meat is divided, some to be cooked, some to be dried and stored. The hide is stretched and scraped, the bones set aside for tools. You assist in the preparation, rinsing your hands in the water, which runs cold and smooth over your skin. The stream is alive with insects and darting fish, and as you kneel there, the wind stirs the tall grasses around you, bringing the faint rustle of distant trees. The meal is simple but filling. Strips of meat roasted on sticks, roots boiled to softness, and dried berries added to flat cakes warmed on stones. You eat seated with others, legs crossed, shoulders just touching, the warmth of companionship unspoken but steady. Afterward, you rest beneath the shade of a tree, your head tilted back, eyes half closed. The sky above is a deep blue, shifting with small clouds, and birds pass across it like slow thoughts. In the late afternoon, a few people begin preparing for a short journey. They will visit a nearby group, exchanging dried goods, tools, and perhaps stories or songs. You help pack their bundles, wrapping smoked meat in leaves, folding hides, tucking bone needles into cloth rolls. Gifts are not required, but they are always offered. The visitors will return in days or weeks, bringing news of the wider world, which still stretches vast and mostly unseen beyond the forest. As the sun lowers, you gather wood with another for the night's fire. You follow the familiar path, picking up branches, stepping over roots, brushing spider silk from the edges of your arms. The shadows grow longer. A hare darts through the brush, startled by your presence, but not truly afraid. You return with arms full, and together build a careful fire, the flames rising slowly into the darkening air. Night comes with its usual hush. The camp gathers near the flame, the light dancing across faces marked by time and sun. Someone begins a song, just a few notes repeated softly, and others join in, creating a quiet harmony that sways with the breeze. You lie down with the warmth of the fire at your feet, the stars wheeling above in their familiar rhythm. You breathe in deeply, the smoke and cool air grounding you. The world feels large and still, but not empty. Everything you need is here. The day closes around you like a blanket, and once again, you sleep. The day begins with light filtering softly through the spaces between woven branches, its warmth slow and golden as it spills across sleeping faces and scattered tools. You wake with your cheek against the smooth surface of a fir, the quiet all around you unbroken by urgency, just the distant rustle of leaves and the low call of a bird greeting the sun. There is no alarm to summon you, no bell to ring, only the pull of hunger, the rhythm of habit, and the steady turning of the world. You sit up slowly, rubbing your arms, and stretch your back as you rise, moving through the hush of the morning like another part of the forest. The fire is already awake, tended by steady hands that have warmed it back to life, and steam curls gently from a pot of roots and crushed grain, its scent earthy and soft. Others emerge gradually, blinking against the sun, shoulders wrapped in cloth, their movements unhurried. You dip your hands in a bowl of water and rub sleep from your face, splashing your neck, the cold helping to wake your limbs. You eat your portion slowly, watching the smoke trail upward in smooth, wandering lines, your breath visible in the crispness of the early hour. Afterward, you carry a woven basket on your back and walk with 2 others into the edge of the woods, searching for bark and dry moss to replenish the stores for fire making and bedding. The forest greets you like an old friend. It smells familiar, its silence alive with distant sound. You move quietly, listening for the crack of a branch underfoot, the movements of deer in the brush, the flutter of wings above. You gather what you find in silence, pausing now and then to study a pattern of claw marks on a tree, or a line of ants making their slow procession across a rock. The world does not rush, and so neither do you. On the way back, you stop near the stream, where someone is making cord from twisted fibers. You kneel to help, rolling the strands between your palms until they form a strong, even thread, your fingers sticky with sap. The cord will be used to repair nets, bind handles, secure bundles. It is small work, but it matters. All things here are connected by effort and time. At midday, you rest beneath the shade of a willow, chewing a piece of dried fruit as you stretch out your legs. The sun dapples the ground through the leaves, and a breeze stirs the grasses in gentle waves. 2 children nearby play with carved figures, moving them across the dirt and whispering stories. Their laughter comes and goes like birdsong. You smile, not at what they say, but at the comfort of their joy. In the afternoon, someone calls for help with tanning a hide. You spend the next stretch of hours working with your hands deep in damp leather, scraping it smooth, rubbing in fats, stretching and folding it over a frame. The smell is sharp and familiar, the task repetitive but satisfying. You talk little, sharing only a few words now and then, the silence between you companionable. The hide is heavy, but will become warmth, shelter, clothing, its purpose shaped by effort. By evening, the fire grows larger, surrounded by quiet voices and slow movements. Dinner is a stew, thickened with tubers, the broth rich and smoky. You eat from a shared bowl, dipping a spoon carved from antler, your fingers wrapped around the handle for warmth. Afterward, someone begins to carve, their hands steady, their eyes focused. Others watch or mend clothing, or simply sit, legs crossed, back straight, eyes on the flickering flames. The day narrows into stillness. A single voice begins to sing, a lullaby with only a few words, repeated slowly, the melody rising and falling like a breath. You rest your head on your rolled-up cloak, the firelight dancing on your skin, the stars appearing one by one above the tree line. You feel the weight of your body ease into the ground, the earth beneath you solid and calm. The wind brushes softly over your face. The air carries the scent of smoke, of leaves, of distant rain that hasn't yet come. You close your eyes. The song fades into the quiet, and once again, sleep takes you. The morning arrives in silence, as it always does, not as a sudden shift, but as a gradual lightening, a slow bloom of pale gold across the fabric of the sky, touching treetops first, then the roofs of shelters, then the worn paths between them. You stir beneath your blanket of fur and woven fibre, your body cocooned in the warmth of shared sleep, your breath steady and slow. Around you, others begin to rise in quiet ripples, rubbing sleep from their eyes, reaching for cloaks and sitting for a long moment before movement begins. The fire is already alive, its embers coaxed from the ash by hands that know their work, its smoke curling upward with the faint scent of charred bark and boiled grain. You sit beside it, holding a cup of warm broth, your fingers wrapped around its carved wooden edges, and you sip slowly as your mind lifts gently into the waking world. There is no schedule, no set hour. Time here moves with the sun and the seasons, measured by tasks that unfold in their own rhythm. Today, your work lies at the edge of the nearby meadow, where a new shelter is being shaped from saplings bent into arches and covered with mats of reeds. The air is cool and still, the earth soft beneath your feet as you walk there with a bundle of rope and a pouch of wooden pegs. Others are already at work, their breath visible in the light, their movements practiced and quiet. You kneel beside them, pressing a stake into the soil, your palm over the top, your shoulder behind the motion. The shelter grows in slow layers, each piece added with care, the space taking form not through haste, but through steady, shared effort. By mid-morning, you pause to stretch your back and drink from your water pouch. The sky is brighter now, and birds sing from branches high above, their voices scattered like beads across the air. A child brings a handful of berries in a leaf bowl, offering them to the group. You smile and thank her with a nod, chewing the tart fruit as you watch two others weave a mat from reeds, their fingers dancing quickly through the pattern. In the distance, someone hums, a low, rolling melody that echoes a song you've heard before, maybe from a mother, maybe in a dream. It lingers in the air like mist. In the afternoon, you walk to the ridge beyond the trees, gathering stones for a hearth and checking a trapline set earlier in the week. The path is soft, marked only by animal tracks and the flattened grass of those who came before. You pass a grove of trees where wild honey was once found, their bark still marked with old cuts, and you pause to listen to the faint hum of bees somewhere nearby. At the base of a slope, one of the traps has been sprung, a small animal caught cleanly. You thank the forest softly and free it from the snare, wrapping it in cloth and tucking it into your satchel. On your way back, you pick a few stalks of sweet grass and tuck them behind your ear for their scent. The sky darkens slightly as clouds gather, and a cool breeze stirs the leaves overhead. You return to camp just as others begin preparing the evening fire, the stones arranged, the wood stacked neatly. The animal is cleaned with practiced hands, the meat divided, the bones saved for tools and fish hooks. You help prepare the stew, stirring in dried herbs and slices of tuber. The scent rich and familiar as it rises with the steam. Supper is eaten slowly, shared from wide bowls passed from hand to hand, and afterward, the group lingers near the fire. Someone sharpens a blade, another tells a quiet story about the stars, and you sit cross-legged, watching the smoke rise and vanish into the night. The clouds have cleared, and the stars reappear, scattered and blinking, each one a small comfort against the dark. A drum begins to sound, just once, then again, a slow heartbeat against the stillness. You close your eyes and feel it echo in your chest. You lie down beside the fire, your head on a folded coat, the warmth seeping into your back. The voices grow softer. The wind moves gently through the grass. The night deepens, and your breath slows. You think of nothing. You feel everything. And the stars, ancient and patient, watch as you slip into sleep once more. Sleep fades slowly, like mist lifting from a quiet lake. And the first sensations are soft ones. The low creak of tree branches in a gentle breeze. The distant trickle of water from the nearby stream. The warmth of your blanket still wrapped around your legs as the cool morning air brushes against your cheeks. The fire has burned down to embers, but its warmth lingers in the soil beneath you, and the sky above has begun to pale at the edges, turning from midnight to deep blue, the stars fading into memory one by one. Around you, the camp stirs without words, shapes moving in the half-light, shadows stretching as bodies stretch, as hands reach for cloaks and feet step quietly across packed earth. You rise with a slow breath, brush your fingers over your face, and make your way toward the edge of the clearing where water waits in a smooth basin of stone, pooled from the stream overnight, still and clear. You wash your hands, splash your face, and feel the crisp cold run down your neck like a river winding through a canyon. Breakfast today is a slow ritual, a pot warmed over fresh flame, filled with soaked grains and crushed nuts, stirred with a stick polished smooth by use. The scent is mild and grounding, steam rising in soft ribbons as bowls are passed and filled and passed again. You eat sitting near the fire, your legs tucked beneath you, watching the sun rise higher over the tops of trees that have seen generations pass beneath their branches. Today will be spent near the ridge, where stones for tools can be found, buried in the soil or scattered along the stream bed, each one shaped by time and pressure, waiting to be held, studied, and chosen. You walk there in the company of two others, no words needed, the path familiar and worn, edged with grasses, bending gently underfoot. The forest is alive, but not loud, filled with the small movements of birds and insects, the occasional rustle of a lizard in the underbrush, and the soft groan of wood shifting in the wind. When you reach the gathering place, you sit on your haunches and begin to sift through the rocks, feeling them with your palms, testing their weight and smoothness, listening for the sound they make when struck together. Some are set aside for shaping, others return to the earth. Time drifts unnoticed here, marked only by the changing angle of light and the slow ache that builds in your knees from crouching. By midday, you filled your satchel with carefully chosen stones, each one a possibility, a blade, a scraper, a spearhead, a future object held in the present. On your way back, you stop to watch the water ripple over stones in the stream, the sunlight catching on each surface like the glint of distant stars. You bend to drink, your hands forming a shallow bowl, and the cold sends a tremble through your chest. Back at camp, the afternoon flows into quiet labor. You sit beside a flat rock warmed by the sun and begin shaping the stones, striking them gently, chipping away the outer layers to find the form inside. Flakes fall like petals, scattering around your knees. Each sound is measured, precise, and those nearby recognize the rhythm without needing to look. By the time the sun has tilted low, you've shaped 3 tools, a long cutting blade, a sharp-edged scraper, and a small point for hunting birds. You run your fingers along their edges, not for sharpness, but for memory, for understanding. Evening arrives with golden light pooling between shelters, firewood being stacked, and the pot placed once more above the flames. Tonight's meal, will be shared with those returning from a neighboring group, their faces familiar but distant, their voices carrying news of fresh animal tracks, of berries ripening along a far slope, of a child born with eyes as pale as the moon. The fire crackles and the stew thickens. You eat slowly, surrounded by murmurs and laughter, and the hum of insects settling into the dusk. As the sky deepens and stars return, a song begins, low and without words, just a melody passed from breath to breath, the sound of a people rooted in the soil, carried by wind, softened by time. You lie down near the edge of the firelight, the blade you shaped tucked beside your belongings, your body folded into the earth as naturally as fallen leaves. The air is still, and your eyes begin to close. And once again, the dark welcomes you, not with fear, but with rest. The day begins before light reaches the camp, before the birds begin their morning calls, before the fire has even been stirred from its slumbering coals. You wake to the sound of footsteps, soft, careful, bare feet moving across the packed soil, the shuffle of someone preparing to leave early, to hunt while the world is still dim and quiet. You do not rise right away, only turn your head slightly and watch the shifting shape of someone bending to gather tools, to tie a bundle, to slip out through the trees without a word. There is something sacred in these early hours, when everything is still draped in shadow and dew, when the air feels untouched and heavy with silence. Eventually, you sit up, brushing loose grass from your arms, pulling your cloak tighter across your shoulders. The fire is coaxed back to life by gentle hands, the first curls of smoke winding upward like strands of thought, and a pot is placed over the flicker of flame, filled with yesterday's water and a handful of dried greens and grains. You stretch, slowly, each motion deliberate, your body reawakening with the light. Around you, others emerge in the same slow rhythm, the camp lifting itself from sleep in waves. Today, you were to help repair the fishing weir downstream, a woven wall of branches set across the narrowest part of the stream bed, where water rushes just fast enough to guide fish into woven baskets. It has held through the last rains, but leans now with age, and the branches must be tightened, reinforced, replaced. You gather what you need: a coil of cord, a small knife, a bundle of trimmed saplings, and walk the familiar path to the water. The sun climbs slowly, warming the tops of trees first, then filtering down in slanted beams that dance through the undergrowth. You walk in silence, the only sound your own breath and the soft shuffle of your steps. At the weir, the water is cold and clear, slipping past smooth stones and pooling in small eddies where minnows flash like quicksilver. You step into the stream, your legs braced against the current, and begin the quiet task of weaving and mending. Your hands move steadily, slipping cord through reeds, pressing branches deep into the mud, tying knots with practiced fingers. The sound of the water becomes a kind of song, constant and calming, a steady voice that has always been here. The work is not quick, but it is satisfying. Every piece fitted into place feels like a conversation with the river, a way of asking and answering at once. You pause now and then to rest, to let the coolness of the stream ease the heat from your skin, to watch a heron stand silently on the far bank, its gaze fixed on something below the surface. By the time you return to camp, the sun is high and the light is bright and golden, dappling the clearing with patches of warmth. Lunch is simple: dried fish from the last catch, berries gathered in a woven pouch, a piece of flatbread torn and shared in quiet appreciation. Afterward, You help with repairs on one of the older shelters, reshaping the roofline with new reeds, tying beams with fresh rope. Every task is slow, deliberate, done with the care that comes from knowing these things must last. As the afternoon stretches on, a group returns from the forest with bundles of bark and wild garlic, their voices low and contented. They bring news of new animal tracks near the upper ridge, and someone makes plans to scout there in the coming days. For now, though, the energy softens. Evening draws near. You wash your hands in the stream, let the water flow over your wrists and palms, and then walk back toward the fire as its light begins to grow again. Dinner simmers in the pot, and the scent draws people inward, gathering without need for call. You eat slowly, watching the sky change from gold to deep blue, the stars already beginning to show through the veil of dusk. When the meal is done and the fire burns low, someone begins to tell a story, not with drama or flourish, but with a steady tone of something told many times, each word worn smooth like stone. The story is of a river that changed its path, of a bear that taught people how to find honey, of a night when the stars sang down into the ears of a dreaming elder. You listen with your eyes half closed, your breath slow and deep. You lie down once more, your head resting on your rolled cloak, your feet warm near the fire's glow. The sky above you is vast and calm, and as your eyes slip shut, the last thing you hear is the river's voice, quiet and endless, carrying you back into sleep. The night passes like a slow tide, rising and falling in gentle waves of silence, and when you wake, the sky is already a soft shade of ash blue, streaked faintly with light that has not yet turned golden. You blink up at the canopy of leaves above, still and unmoving in the breathless morning, and feel the warmth of your own body slowly rising into the cool air. The fire near your feet is only embers now, glowing with a quiet life of their own. And as you sit up, wrapping your arms around your knees, you listen to the small sounds of another day beginning. The rustle of someone shifting beneath their blanket, the distant call of a bird cutting across the trees, the hollow tap of a wooden spoon against the side of a clay bowl. You rise slowly, your steps familiar, and make your way to the stream where your reflection wavers just beneath the surface, broken only by the gentle current. You splash cold water on your face, your hands moving instinctively, and watch droplets fall from your chin like morning rain. Someone nearby hums a low tune, a wordless rhythm that settles into the air like breath, and you join in softly without thinking, your voices blending for a moment before fading into stillness. Today, a group will be heading east to check a stand of trees where resin can be harvested. Thick, amber-scented sap that will be boiled and stored, used to seal pottery, to bind arrowheads, to waterproof the seams of bark canoes. You are part of the group, and after a small meal of dried fruit and nuts, you gather your tools. A stone blade, a bowl wrapped in hide, a length of cord, and begin the walk beneath a sky that is now brightening at the edges. The journey is unhurried, the forest opening ahead in quiet rhythm. You follow paths made not by maps, but by memory, by the way tree roots curve, by the stones that always point east, by the calls of birds whose territories you know by sound. You pass the place where the ground grows soft and mossy, where a small spring trickles from the hillside, and where a fallen log has become home to mushrooms and ants. The trees you seek are farther still, tall and straight, their bark thick and furrowed, and when you reach them, you place your hand gently against the trunk and pause. You begin the task with respect, using your blade to score the surface and guide the sap downward, collecting it slowly in your bowl. The work is quiet, meditative, and you feel the sun warming your back as the scent of pine and fresh sap fills the air. Around you, others work in the same silence, moving from tree to tree, careful not to take too much, careful not to harm. By midday, the bowls are filled and wrapped, and you sit in the shade to eat and rest. You chew a piece of dried meat, sip water from your pouch, and close your eyes for a while, listening to the wind thread itself through the canopy, the soft buzz of insects nearby, the creak of trees gently shifting. When the rest is done, you begin the walk back, your hands sticky with sap, your heart steady and full. The return is just as slow, just as calm, the forest no less beautiful now that the work is done. You speak little, saving your breath, sharing only a few words about where the birds are nesting this year, or which stream is running dry. When you arrive, the sun is already slipping lower in the sky, and the air has taken on the scent of smoke and stew. The camp is alive with soft movement, baskets being carried, hides shaken out and laid in the sun, laughter in the distance as someone tells a joke that's already been told too many times. You add your resin to the communal pot and then wash your hands, scrubbing them with sand and water until the stickiness fades. You sit beside the fire as it crackles, your body tired in the clean way that comes from a full day of steady work. Supper is thick and simple, a stew of roots and meat, rich and smoky, eaten with fingers and pieces of bread torn from a flat, round loaf. Afterwards, someone begins a soft rhythm on a drum made of stretched skin, and others hum along, their voices rising like mist over water. The fire pops now and then, sending sparks skyward where the first stars are blinking into view. You lie back, hands beneath your head, legs crossed at the ankle, and watch as night settles in, as the trees darken and the sky deepens, and your eyelids grow heavier with each passing breath. The day fades gently, and you let yourself drift with it. The fire is still glowing when you wake, its soft light casting a golden shimmer across the earth, painting the undersides of the branches and the edges of sleeping figures curled in silence. The sky above is a deep violet fading into grey, the stars just beginning to dim as morning stretches its arms across the land. You lie there for a while, not quite asleep, but not yet awake, your body still, your breath slow, your senses gently reaching outward. The wind is calm. The trees are quiet. The world is paused in that brief, weightless moment between night and day. When you finally rise, you move quietly, brushing leaves from your cloak and stretching your limbs one at a time. Your feet find the path to the stream as though they've known it forever, and you kneel at the water's edge, dipping your hands in and letting the cold run between your fingers. You splash your face, shake off the droplets, and watch the ripples fade into stillness. Today is a day of resting, not from exhaustion, but because the rhythm of the seasons allows it. There is no urgency in the air, no harvest to chase, no hunt pressing against the edge of hunger. Instead, the day will be spent close to the heart of camp, tending to small things, repairing tools, braiding new rope, reshaping a cracked bowl. You return to the fire and sit beside it as the others begin to wake, the camp lifting gently into life with soft voices and familiar gestures. Someone begins to cook, stirring grain into a pot and adding dried fruit for sweetness. You accept your portion with a quiet nod and eat slowly, the heat of it warming your hands as much as your chest. After breakfast, you carry your blade to a flat stone and begin to sharpen it, your hands steady, the rhythm familiar. Each motion draws you deeper into calm. The sound of stone on stone joining the rustle of wind through leaves and the distant tap of a bird pecking at bark. When the blade is ready, you set it aside and take up a strip of leather, soft and supple, and begin cutting it into lengths for wrapping handles and binding joints. Your fingers move slowly, thoughtfully, your eyes relaxed, your breath in sync with the movement. Around you, others are engaged in their own tasks. One shapes a bone awl with a smooth pebble. Another mends a tear in a fur cloak, threading sinew through with patient care. The camp is quiet, but not still, alive in its gentleness, a shared space of quiet creation. You pause in the shade and sip water from a carved cup, then rest your head back against a post, feeling the warmth of the sun on your face. The clouds above drift lazily, white and slow, and for a long time there is nothing but the comfort of simply being. In the afternoon, you help an elder prepare a set of new sling stones, smoothing them with sand, marking them for balance, placing them carefully in a leather pouch. They tell you a story as you work, not loud, not formal, just a meandering memory about a time when the river flooded and brought fish into the trees. You laugh together, not because the story is funny, but because the telling of it feels like home. When the work is done, you walk the edge of the meadow, picking a few wild onions and a handful of flowering stalks for dye. Your steps are soft, your thoughts unhurried. A deer watches you from the tree line, its ears flicking, its breath visible in the cool shade. You make no move toward it, and it does not flee. You simply share the same quiet space for a moment, both still, both breathing. As evening comes, the camp gathers once more around the fire. The meal is a soup of herbs and roots, its flavor sharp and clean. You eat slowly, listening as someone sings a song in a language older than memory, a song passed not through writing, but through the shaping of breath, of tone, of silence. After the meal, a child curls beside you and asks for a story. You speak softly, weaving one from stars and trees and voices that live in the wind. Others listen too, leaning close, their faces lit by flame and wonder. The story ends, not with a lesson, but with a pause, a moment to breathe. And when the fire settles into embers, you lie back once again, the ground familiar beneath you, the sky full of stars blinking like slow thoughts. The night holds you, gently and completely, and sleep comes as it always does, in quiet, in peace, in the arms of the world. You awaken beneath a canopy of soft bird song, and the whisper of leaves moving gently above, stirred not by urgency, but by the quiet pulse of a new day, beginning its slow unfolding. The fire is down to ash-ringed coals, still faintly warm, its scent laced with the memory of last night's meal and the stories that drifted across its flame. Around you, the camp rises gradually. No rush, no command, only the natural rhythm of bodies readying for the sun. You stand and stretch, your arms heavy but loose, your breath slow and easy, the morning air cool against your skin. A dog trots by and pauses to sniff your hand before moving on, tail swaying without concern. You rinse your face in a nearby bowl and then join the others where the fire is being fed anew, the fresh crackle of twigs adding life to the quiet. Breakfast is prepared without discussion, a familiar blend of broth, soaked grain, and gathered greens. And as you eat, you listen to the rustle of someone slicing bark into long strips beside you. The day's task is to collect clay from the riverbank, thick, rich earth that will be shaped into bowls, stored for lining hearths, used to build and seal and form. After gathering your tools, baskets, scraping stones, and water vessels, you set out with two others, the path winding through damp soil and dappled light. The forest greets you as it always does, its silence never empty, its shadows never threatening. As you walk, the smell of damp leaves and moss fills your chest, grounding you in every step. At the river, the light is golden, filtered through branches that sway above the water's edge. You kneel and dig with your hands, feeling the cool clay give way beneath your fingers, the earth thick and pliant, heavy with potential. You work slowly, pausing to scrape it into your basket, smoothing the surface before reaching again. Your hands are soon covered to the wrists, and the work brings a quiet satisfaction that fills your chest more than words could. No one hurries. The process is as much about feeling as function. Once the baskets are filled, you rest on a nearby log, dipping your feet into the stream's shallow edge, watching small fish dart between your toes. You share a few bites of dried fruit and chew in silence, your body relaxed, the sun warming your back as the breeze carries the faintest hint of wild mint from upstream. You return before midday, the clay carefully carried, the baskets left beneath a tree where they'll be shaded until ready to use. In the heat of the afternoon, you sit in the shade and begin shaping the first pieces, pressing the wet clay between your palms, coiling it into rings, smoothing it with your fingers and a flat piece of wood. You do not need to think. The shape remembers itself. Around you, others shape as well. Some bowls, some bricks, some beads small enough to wear. A child watches, mimicking your hand movements in the dust beside you, their tiny hands forming little mounds that crumble and begin again. You smile and nod, not correcting, just watching. Later, as the sun lowers and the shadows grow long, the bowls are carried to the drying rack, set out carefully beside others already hardened in the sun. You wipe your hands clean with straw and water, the clay falling away in flakes, your skin left dry and pale. Supper is prepared while you tend to your tools, checking the edge of a stone blade, rewrapping its handle with softened leather. The meal is rich with fish and roots, the flavors soft and familiar. As you eat, you listen to an elder speak of the sky, how the stars form stories, how they mark time, how they shift slowly from season to season. After the meal, someone plays a flute carved from bone, its notes floating above the firelight like drifting embers. You lie back once again, your hands folded over your stomach, the sky vast and clear above, the music fading into the rhythm of night. The air is cool, your blanket warm, your body weightless with rest. And as your eyes slip closed, you carry with you the sound of water on stone, of clay between your fingers, of silence shaped into story. Sleep comes easily now, as it always does, held in the arms of the ancient earth beneath you. The dawn arrives wrapped in fog, thick and silver, clinging to every surface like a soft breath, and the world feels quieter than usual, even the birds delaying their morning calls, their songs muted beneath the weight of the mist. You rise slowly, careful not to disturb the hush, your movements instinctive now, folding your blanket, brushing away leaves, slipping your feet into worn sandals still cool from the night. The fire is nothing more than glowing cinders, their warmth tucked deep beneath a thin layer of ash, and as you crouch beside it to add kindling, the flame stirs gently, stretching upward with orange fingers that brighten the grey. You sit close, holding a bowl of warm broth between your palms, breathing in the smell of crushed herbs and wet soil, the steam rising into the chill. Around you, others begin to appear, moving through the fog like shadows, their silhouettes slow and fluid, their voices low and calm. Today's work is simple but steady, drying and storing the clay bowls shaped yesterday, carrying them to the fire pit where they will be fired in layers of bark and coal, their surfaces hardened by careful flame. You gather your share and walk with slow, measured steps, the fog dampening sound so that even the soft crunch of twigs beneath your feet feels distant. The world is smaller in the mist, everything enclosed, every tree a towering ghost. At the pit, a fire is already lit, the coals banked and glowing. The bowls are arranged carefully, stacked in a dome shape with dried moss and reeds between them. The structure built like a memory passed down through hands, each layer formed by habit and quiet skill. Once complete, the pile is covered with bark and a thin layer of earth, and the fire is fed slowly from the base, heat rising from within, smoke trailing in spirals through cracks in the top. You sit nearby, tending the flame, watching its behavior, listening to the hiss of moisture leaving the clay. Time passes in long, wide stretches, marked only by the shift in light and the scent of burning wood. The fog lifts gradually, revealing the green of the forest in soft pieces, a patch of fern here, the curve of a stone there, until the world is returned again in full colour and shape. You spend the afternoon cleaning tools, preparing thread, folding hides. The pace is unhurried, each task a comfort in its repetition. Someone brings a bundle of dyed wool and begins weaving beside you, their fingers moving with practiced ease as the colours form patterns that echo the movement of clouds, of rivers, of wind through grass. The two of you speak little, just soft comments now and then, the kind that pass easily between people who understand quiet. As the sun lowers, the fire at the pit dies down, and the top of the dome is carefully removed, revealing bowls now darkened and strong, their surfaces marked by fire, each one slightly different, each holding the shape of its making. You carry them back slowly, two at a time, laying them on soft moss to cool fully. The evening meal is already being stirred as you return, root mash and roasted meat, served in the very bowls you shaped the week before. You sit in the circle, the light golden on everyone's faces, the air full of the scent of smoke and stew and earth. After supper, the camp gathers around the fire again, but this time no stories are told, no songs are sung. Instead, the fire becomes the centre of a shared stillness, each person watching the flames in their own way, some with thoughts of the day, others with none at all. You feel the pull of sleep begin to rise in you like a tide, and you lie back on your mat, the fire warm near your feet, the sky slowly revealing its stars above. You hear someone breathe deeply beside you, the sound of rest. The night air is cool but kind. You close your eyes and everything softens. Your thoughts, your limbs, your place in the world. You are held once again by the steady quiet of a life shaped not by speed or noise, but by the patient unfolding of time. Thank you for returning once more to the stillness of long ago. Tonight, we will settle into the final rhythms of a world shaped not by walls or wires, but by firelight and footsteps, by the tilt of the stars and the quiet rustle of wind through leaves. You wake slowly, your eyes opening to the soft glow of another morning. The fire beside you a ring of orange breath, fading coals pulsing with the last warmth of night. The air is cool and calm, and above you, the trees sway gently, their branches stretching out like arms greeting the sun. You stretch without urgency, your bones humming with the familiar weight of a full body and a full life. Around you, others begin to stir, rising from mats and cloaks, their voices hushed, their movements as fluid as the river that runs beyond the trees. The village is in no rush today. There are no threats, no tasks pressing hard against the hours. Instead, the morning is spent in quiet preparation. A group plans to visit a nearby clearing to gather wild seeds, flax, amaranth, tiny bursts of life that will be saved, stored, and sown. You decide to join them. After a warm meal of broth, thick with cracked grain, you set off, your feet familiar with the path, each stone and root remembered by touch and time. The walk is long but gentle, and as you move through the forest, the air changes slowly. The scent of moss gives way to wildflowers. The shade brightens into open sun. Birds glide above, and the hum of insects rises and falls like a soft drum beat. You reach the clearing by midday, a wide patch of golden stalks rustling in the breeze, swaying with the grace of old grass. You kneel and begin your work, fingers nimble and sure, gathering the tiny seeds into a basket lined with woven bark. Each handful is light, but as time passes, the basket grows heavier, filled not only with food, but with the memory of touch, with the knowledge of how things grow. Others work nearby, some humming, some quiet, all wrapped in the same rhythm of small, patient labor. The sun climbs, then tilts, and you rest beneath a tree, sharing dried berries and laughter, pouring water from one vessel to another, catching the sunlight in ripples across your palms. On the walk home, you carry your basket high on your back, the seeds shifting with your steps, the weight of them grounding, comforting. Back in the village, smoke curls up from the hearths, and children run between shelters, their feet bare, their laughter skipping across the grass. You help sift the seeds, laying them out to dry in the fading sun, brushing away chaff, listening to the low murmur of stories rising from the center of the camp. The evening brings a quiet warmth, both in the food and in the faces around you. Supper is a soft stew of wild greens and roasted roots, eaten slowly beneath a sky that deepens into lavender and then to night. Someone sings a song older than language, a lullaby for the sky, and others hum along, not with melody, but with memory. You lie down once again beneath the stars, their light steady and silent above, and you feel the earth beneath you as solid as breath. The fire flickers, and you close your eyes, not from exhaustion, but from peace. Around you, the world rests. The work is done, the seeds are safe, and as sleep folds itself over your body like a soft blanket, you drift gently into the dream of long ago, where time moved like wind in grass, and the future was shaped one careful day at a time. Good night.